Hola. Hi, everybody. I'm excited about this. I want to talk to people in Australia and share some information. I mean, it's honestly information for anybody in a big city, but it seems like from, you know, I don't pay attention to news, or I don't follow any like lower frequency like accounts or anything, so I don't tap into the third dimensional information. So what I've received, the downloads I've gotten about what's happening in big cities, specifically the big cities in Australia, is pretty interessante. Hello, people. Beautiful day to you. Am I Tarzan's wife? I'm nobody's wife. I'm Shell. I'm my own person. I don't follow labels. Yes, I want to talk about Australia. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing, beautiful, high-frequency vortex jungle that I live in. Very, very similar to Australia. So if y'all can spread this just by liking, I think you just double tap the screen. It gets it to more people. What time is it there? It's 11 p.m. in the UK. It is 4 p.m. here in Costa Rica. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sending so much energy to people in Australia right now. And this is why I'm communicating this information. I'm in Costa Rica. If you haven't seen me for a while, you should, can you do notifications on TikTok? Because I've been, well, a while would be a few days, because I was banned. I was banned for speaking about Maxine, because people get all up in their butt about me talking about the truths about Maxine altering your DNA, but that's not what we're here for today. Okay, this is the information I have about, especially for all big cities. Let's see, I think I'm going to let a few more people jump on. We'll see how it goes. Someone asked what is going on in Australia. Evidently a lot. And I'm not exactly sure why I do know why I'm specifically called to discuss, and why I've been receiving information about, and this is information we all have the ability to tap into. Source is the collective energy. We all have this information. So because I tap into it is only through trusting myself, and often using my messages, and the more you speak it, the more you receive it. It's a give and give, because it's our responsibility as guardians of this mothership to be of service, and my service is to share information. Okay, someone said I can't find any information on the underground generators. That's because that's the information I have. I did not read it from a book. I did not get it from anywhere except for my remembrance. Let me help you understand what that means. So all of us are made up of cell memory. Our cells hold every single energetic exchange we've ever had in this life. That means anyone I've ever crossed paths with is the same for everybody. Whomever we've crossed paths with, we exchange somewhat of an information. When we do this, it gets downloaded into our cells. Our cells make up this entire vessel that holds our energetic body. Our energetic body is also our soul. So our soul resides here in this vessel. It's entirely made up of cells that hold our memory. Some may call it the Akashic records. So what I do is I unlock those memories through being obedient to the information that comes in. So when I speak it, when I receive it, I speak it, I trust myself. That's the main thing. So what we do whenever we're going through like ascension, we can receive light codes from the sun. I have a very high frequency diet, so this allows my pineal gland to decalcify. All of these different ways that I live, and I'm in nature consistently. I live here, like I'm in nature, so I'm constantly activating my cell memory, my DNA, which is unlocking my Akashic records, which is giving me information about history. History, that's such a 3D word. It's giving me information about creation. And so the most recent was through my, I don't know how I got on that side of TikTok actually, but I was talking about 3D and 5D. Oh, I know, because I was talking about 4D, how the fourth dimension is like the fence between fifth dimension and third dimension. The third dimension is our shadow. The collective third dimension is our shadow, the collective shadow. So to rise from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, which is exactly where this mothership that we're on was once called Earth, it's now called Tara. And then it's Gaia. So it's interesting that Gaia is used more than Tara. Nobody ever speaks about Tara, but we won't go into that. So anyway, I was speaking about how the fourth dimension is like a fence and how people straddle it instead of just completely surrendering and completely going into their darkness and facing all of their trauma, all of their shadow, all of their low, like doubt debris and stuff. This is my hairpin. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to use this instead. Keep something in my hands. So what this information I was sharing, I think this is where it all started, that the fourth dimension is the fence that people try to straddle, but you can't straddle it because it'll make you crazy. You'll just want to throw up because you cannot fully reach 5D ascension. And that's where we're trying to go, because that's where the mothership has already reached. The earth plane, now called Tara, has already reached that frequency. And frequencies need to match. So if we are all energy and we vibrate at a certain level, the vibration creates a frequency. And then, so what we are trying to do whenever we're ascending and raising into other higher dimensions is we're raising our frequency. So the reason why so many people are waking up and ascending is because the frequency of the mothership has already raised. So now the human body is trying to also raise to that to match it. Or if it's not raising to that, then it's on the 3D level, which is really dark. This is all the stuff that's going on in the world. This is the purging. This is the COVID. This is Maxine. All of that is the collective shadow purging the darkness. Ciao. Are you going to the beach? Okay. And so, get back on track. So the collective shadow is purging, which is all these things that are going on. So anyway, what happened was that I made this video. Someone commented about Melbourne, talking about the protests and all the lockdowns and all of these things. And then someone else comments and it's like, no, I live in Melbourne. I'm not experiencing any of that. And so I was like, okay, why is this happening? And then someone commented and said that, they're having this experience in Costa Rica. And I'm like, I'm in Costa Rica. I don't experience that. My life is super blissful. It's just as blissful as it gets. Do I go into town and there are grocery stores that require a mask, and do I participate? Sure, sometimes. Sometimes I really go in without the mask and then I wait for them to tell me to put it on, and then I just put it like around my chin because I like to keep peace. And me protesting would not do any good, but at least in some way I'm showing that I'm not afraid, and maybe you should not be afraid also. So just that little share of them, someone getting to witness, for one, if you're in a situation where everybody wears masks, just seeing a smile will bring you peace and kind of raise your frequency. So anyway, what the information was is that in these big cities, especially Melbourne, and the reason why is because Australia is one of the many high frequency grid locking systems on this earth plane, on this Tara plane, earth plane, Tara plane. It's kind of the both. So what that means is throughout the entire earth plane, I'm going to call it mothership because we are literally on a mothership, which is just a giant spaceship. It's the truth. Mother Earth. All they did was take out the ship part. So what happens is in these high frequency grid locking systems where nature exists, where they naturally have a lot of indigenous people, so they have the information carried on in their cell memory, the truth about creation, the high frequency truth, the community mentality, the tribal mentality, the love for nature. The love for nature and being in nature will automatically raise your frequency. So what happened is big cities, concrete jungles were built on beautiful land. We're built on high frequency land. We're built on high frequency portals, literal portals, because when the negative ETs came in and disrupted unity consciousness, then they started building these low frequency, it's just low frequency concrete. So what this does is whenever you're in the concrete jungle, you're not connected to the information from Mother Nature. It goes Father, Son, and Mother Nature provide us the energy to function on this mothership. Through those two things, we can gain all of the ascension that we need. To those two things will energize us completely. And you have to remember that the 3D matrix, the lower frequency, the negative frequency, knows these things. So that's why they built these concrete jungles in very high frequency places. Because what it does is you build this city, this concrete city, and then what you do is you provide a lot of jobs, a lot of possibilities, and then it brings people from the outside world, from the outside nature, into the big city. And then through that, you get trapped. You get trapped in the success. You get trapped in all the labels. Well, these are where the universities are, so people will come here for the university. It's all a trap. That's the thing. You build the universities in a big city, so people come from the outside in, and then they get sucked into that trap of labels, success, all of the labels that come with all of the hierarchy in business, in the, a doctor and a lawyer make the most money and they have to go into university for the longest. So that means they're programmed for the longest amount of time. It's all perfectly created this way to create separation, to enslave the mind, and more importantly, to keep us in competition. Because in higher dimensions and higher frequencies, competition does not exist. We are all equal and we are all love and we have compassion for everyone. We do not worry and we do not fight over different levels of success. It's not important. What's important is compassion, love, grace, peace, all of that. So here is Melbourne, a very big city built in a very high vortex. So this is what I'm going to get back to of what the generator is. This is how it was shown to me in my visions whenever this download came in, whenever this remembrance unlocked. Is envision generators. It's literal, I guess, because everything we're experiencing is a simulation. We live in a simulation based on our projection. One person has a perception, creates a projection, and all of the other people having the same perception, creating a projection, creates the reality, creates the simulation, creates the hologram. And this is why we start so young in school, so that we're all having the same perception and the same projection, creating a lower frequency hologram. It's us that choose to wake up, that choose to expand our consciousness and think for ourselves, that begins raising the frequency of the collective, creating a new projection or a new hologram. So anyway, there's this generator. And this generator is an energetic generator, essentially. Remember, it's not completely real. This is just how I can explain it. So under this concrete, this generator is cycling, and the way it keeps going, the way it continues is through fear, is through hate, is through shame, guilt, everything that's low frequency. Because if you were to look at the vibrational scale of consciousness, and just a vibrational scale in general, down here at like 100 and 150 vibrates fear, anger, hate, guilt, shame. All of that vibrates at like 150. Up here vibrating at 700 is peace, love, compassion, grace, forgiveness, right? So all of this, you can essentially view it like the dimensions as well, because dimensions are just layered levels of consciousness, essentially energy. So whenever people are in this big city and they're in competition and they're in fear of not being the most successful, or they're in fear of someone taking their job, they're in fear of being robbed, because this is all created in that hologram. It's like, it's fear creates crime. Crime does not create fear. And in big cities is where you have the most crime, because this is all designed this way to keep the lower dimension operating, to keep people in it. Because this generator, if everyone would decide, just boom, disconnect from fear, turn off the news, turn off all of the propaganda, and they would disconnect and they would choose peace, love, compassion, and grace for themselves. Most importantly, we have to choose it for ourselves, forgiveness for ourselves. Then they can choose it for others. Literally, this generator would go boom, 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 and just stop. And then these people could detach from that level of the 3D and raise their frequency. However, this is the thing. The 3D, that dimension, that level of frequency will always exist. Always. Because energy never dies. Energy is eternal. However, people have the ability to detach from that energy and choose a new high frequency. Will this happen with everyone? Absolutely not. But we have the ability. We have everything we need inside this vessel, inside our energetic body. We have all of the information. It's just to choose it and to step out of your comfort zone and to think, am I my old identity, which is the most successful blah blah in the big city, or will I detach from that label and be just happy, loving, caring person who lives in a rural area, in nature, in peace? Am I going to be okay without having that attachment to that label? We have to decide that for ourselves. We have to make that decision on our own, and we cannot worry about everyone else and if they're making that decision. It requires us going into our darkness. It requires us facing our shadow, mainly our ego. And then we have to feel it and we have to heal it. And so people who are choosing to be angry at the lockdown, be angry at the government and all of these things, their fear and their hate and their anger is actually feeding that 3D generator. You cannot win a war on consciousness with matching a lower frequency. Remember, frequencies have to match. So if you are feeling hate and anger and all of these things towards the system, then you're matching their frequency. And if you're going in and you're protesting and you're doing a lot of harm, even if you're going in, I'm going to protest because I'm so pissed at da-da-da-da, you're matching the frequency. You're doing exactly what they want you to do. This is why they're doing that. But if everybody decided, instead of protesting, let's go in a park and meditate for peace, that would raise the frequency of that location, matching it to the new frequency of Tara, the mothership. And then this generator would go and it would come down. So I get it. Like, I totally get how frustrating it is. I can imagine just the hell of being locked up. Like, I get that. And I know that this isn't going to, like, this message isn't just going to drastically change someone's idea of what they're doing, but this is what's going on. And this is what's happening in every big city. And Melbourne, the reason why you're there is because you're pretty powerful. You're powerful. And that's why you chose to be there. That's why your contract in this human experience placed you in a place that was going to experience this level of fear. And the reason why it's so powerful, the reason why it's very powerful there, and this is all happening, is because the 3D system understands that if you guys were all to wake up and disconnect from that lower dimension, everything would dissolve there. Everyone would ascend, because just one powerful light worker deciding to step into their power has the power to raise the frequency. So one person who steps fully into their power and claims their consciousness expansion, claims their superpower, claims their ability to be a healer, all of that, you will raise the frequency of 300,000 people. It's a big deal. And this is the system's greatest fear. I'm going to ask or answer some questions. Okay. So why doesn't this cause a chain reaction? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Could you be more specific about this? How do I claim my power? I walk in it all day, every day. I have to. I am a mentor for mentees who are here. It's called Ascension Immersion. Like, this is what I do. This is literally my superpower, is knowing my power, and I live it every day, and every day I grow more and more connected to my power through everything I personally do, by coming on here and speaking this information to you guys, by working with my mentees. Everything I do is me going more into my power. Okay, there's a lot here. I am packed and ready, waiting to hear from you. Did you send me if you have applied for my mentorship program, I will always get back with you within like 72 hours. Someone said this lady is not on drugs, she's speaking truth. All of us enlightened ones, we're always going to be called crazy, and I'm so okay with that. I would much rather be called crazy than be called normal, because normal right now is pretty messed up, if you know what I mean. Someone said, what is the mentorship program? Go to mamaeshell.com or use my link tree, and you'll get all the information you need. Okay, cool. Total Love Studio. I will get back to you, my love. That's very awesome. I'm excited. Will some people not ascend in this lifetime? Great question. The answer is yes, because we are all on our own journey, all in different divine design. However, whenever they reach a certain level of consciousness in this timeline, whenever they come back into a new human form, they will get to start off pretty much where their consciousness left off last time. I mean, that's the thing, is but here, okay, I'm going to go into another, that was a great question. I'm going to go into another bit of information that I've been excited to share about. So, like I said in the beginning, we are energy. I'm energy, you're energy. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. So, I'm sure you've heard of karma. The untrue, the false truth of karma is what you do to someone, or you do something then you get paid that back. It's not true. Okay, the truth of karma is energy. When you exchange energy with someone, it's either a high frequency or a low frequency, because there's a low frequency and a high frequency to every single situation. And if you exchange energy with someone, so for instance, someone bumps into you on the street and they're like, watch out, asshole, and you're like, fuck you. That's energy exchange at a low frequency. And so what you did when you bumped into that person and you decided to react to them in a matched low frequency, you're here, you matched their frequency, you went poof, 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 and you created many more lives with them. You created many more timelines with them. You created many more parallel realities, if you will, with these people. So you can imagine that's just a very small example. So think about if you were to have intercourse with someone and they, you didn't really even know them. Let's go with that. Even if you do know these people, regardless, you're exchanging the most powerful form of energy, which is sex. If you do this, you create many parallel realities with these people. Okay? And the goal, the way we fully ascend, is to completely clear karma. And now that we know that karma is energy, which are also parallel lives, parallel timelines, that means our responsibility is to clear up these parallel lives that we have with all of these people. It's a lot. It's huge information. If you're on here and you're able to grasp the depth of that truth, then you are probably very much have expanded your consciousness, but also very aware of how big of a responsibility that is. Because our goal is to clear karma. That's just the truth. It's written in a lot of different ways, and a lot of different belief systems have written about clearing karma, and that's how we fully ascend. But when I break it down for you to the fact that karma is actually energy, and energy is parallel realities. So essentially, I'm my own self, and then around me, circling around me, I have many different timelines created through this life, this current timeline, this current lifetime that I'm in, plus karma I did not heal in my past lives, which we know past and future aren't real because linear time isn't real. So that means every parallel reality is all present. Everything is constantly occurring in the present moment. That means the way we think about past lives is actually happening simultaneously to us right now. So the best thing to do is every time a low frequency pattern comes to us, we need to be so aware of it that we observe it neutrally and then decide on our best high frequency response to it. Not react, because reaction means we haven't neutrally observed it. Reaction means we immediately react based on our old frequencies, based on our old patterns. And the best way to clear karma, to dissolve parallel timelines, is to go deep, dark into our shadow and allow all of this information, all of these memories, all of these traumas, whatever, to arise. And then what we do is we literally dissect that situation and figure out what our lesson was and how we can resolve it. The best thing to know that is whenever you start doing this deep healing work, this is what we do here, especially in my mentorship program. Y'all, we get super duper deep. Like, you do not come here just to have a vacation. This is consistent working on ourselves all day, every day. And what's crazy is whenever you start, not crazy, it's beautiful, whenever you start allowing these energies to rise up, and then you start seeing how you're attached to these different outcomes, then all of the ones that are essentially created from that same experience, because we'll have one experience that creates multiple timelines that also affects us in this current timeline. So what happens is all of these ones that are connected to this one situation that created that karma, they start dissolving. So where it feels like you have karma that it takes a while to that pattern to come back, your pattern starts coming back like super fast. And so you get all of these opportunities to really clear some stuff. Like, I mean, it can happen in in a one sunrise span. Some may call that a day, but if linear time is not real, I'm not even going to acknowledge a clock is real. I'm going to work with the sun because the sun is very real. One day of sunrise, you can have a karmic cycle, an old pattern karmic cycle, come to you so many times so that you can choose a new high frequency choice. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful for me to be able to witness this happen with my mentees, because I can see it like unfolding for them, and they're just like, it's like having a book and you're just turning a page so fast, uncovering all of these new layers of energy that we have created through this timeline and others. It's wild. But understanding that on such a level that everything is energy, that means karma is energy, is seriously probably the greatest bit of information that I could have remembered at all. Now, what to do with that information is to begin completely dissecting the truth of energy, everything being energy, because whenever you can understand that, even just if you abandon essentially a house plant, what are you doing? Like, that's literally creating a karmic energy exchange with Mother Earth. Like, it's so deep. Even like I had 5 kittens up until just like last week, and I was getting so frustrated with them. And I was like, I know they're here to teach me compassion, and I know, hello, Aunt. See, just like this. I'm going to take you off. But when the day I decided to completely surrender and just accept that my house was going to be completely destroyed, and accept that kittens were probably going to poop on my table, I was like, okay, I surrender. And I knew because I know these things, that as soon as I would, Aunt is back. I knew as soon as I would surrender, that the person who needed to, that was the mother of these kittens, would show up. And guess what? They did. So I have only 3 now, and then 2 went together at their new home. And it's these little bitty things that we take for granted all day long. How you treat someone on the side of the road, they're actually there for karma, to test you. And, okay, come here. I don't want you on me. Thank you. Anyway, okay, let's go to questions. That meant a lot to hear just now. How do we clear karma? I just told you how to clear karma. So separate from the positive energies. Let's see. How do you DREA with death? Oh, probably supposed to be deal. I have a whole series on this on my TikTok, and I also have Death is Not Real, a whole video, just those series combined on my YouTube. I highly recommend watching that, because death is not real. It's part of the 3D matrix. It's trap. What's real is transcendence. And our ancestors and there's a lot of information about how transcendence is the truth. But most importantly, that's the information I've unlocked. Death is not real. It's not real. And this whole experience with COVID and all the deaths, and then once you get people so afraid of something, then they stay in fear, and then that fear creates more fear, and that's why they decide to go to Maxine. And then once they have Maxine, then everybody who hasn't had Maxine is in fear. Anyone, no matter which side you're on, if you're fearing it, Maxine, or if you're fearing not taking Maxine, you're creating fear. You're part of the lower dimensional, the lower 3D hologram. So the best thing to do is just to surrender and just stop thinking about it. Because where your energy goes, where your attention goes, energy flows. What you think about, you bring about. It's very true. I do not think about any of that. It doesn't exist in my reality. I'm from Melbourne. How can I destroy the generators? Through peace, love, and compassion. That means do not think about the generators. If you think about the generators, then you are feeding into the fear. Just be peace. I know it sounds crazy because you're in a very intense situation, but it's that intense because they want you to react this way. They want you to be miserable. They want you to have hate. So the best thing to do is to not react and to stay in grace, love, and compassion. I had someone email me and say that they are in Australia and they decided to go to a protest, which they never do. And I wish I could remember right now. I feel like she said she went to Melbourne, and before she went to protest, she decided to go and like walk the streets and like observe everything. But she went with a really high frequency, and she said that she was walking through the streets and there were people all around her doing the same thing who were getting completely attacked by police officers, and she was walking through not even being seen, because her frequency was so high that they don't like, whenever someone is in such a low frequency, frequencies have to match. I cannot say that enough. Frequencies have to match. So if a angry police officer who has been programmed to the max to do his job, which is attack people, and then these people who are also in their mind programmed to attack them, they're going to go together. But a low frequency will not acknowledge a high frequency because they do not match their frequency. The best thing to do is to stay in a high frequency. And you'll notice too, once you raise your frequency, nobody interacts with you if they are not also there. Okay. You people are so hung up on Jesus. One thing about Jesus. I totally admire and adore this healer, because enough of this person was talked about to get you guys to realize that it's possible. It's possible. It's extremely possible that every single one of us have the power to heal, to walk on water, to turn water into wine. We all have that power. But because you believe in him so much, you don't believe in yourself. That's the problem. You believe in this person so much that you don't believe in yourself. There's something wrong with that. A good teacher, if he were here, he would be pissed, because he didn't do all of that so that you could just praise and worship him and think just because he did it, you can go through him to get to this place called heaven. Heaven is consciousness. Heaven is a state of bliss. That is the highest form of consciousness. Heaven isn't a place in the sky, because there isn't a sky. There is a lid that goes on top of this mothership that we're on. Some may call it a firmament. Heaven is a place of consciousness, and you will never expand your consciousness if you're giving your power away to a character in a book. Next question. Can you please explain the frequency talk? I just don't. Okay, frequency. I can use a better word, but that would be vibration. I operate in the 7th dimension. I'm learning to use, I'm really practicing using the better words to get people to, because I really want people to understand me. I really want people to hear these messages because they're super powerful. So yes, I thank you for asking me about the frequency. Frequency, another word for it is vibration. So low vibe and high vibe, that would be a good way to think of it. If you are in a low vibration, meaning you participate in substance abuse, if you participate in alcohol, or you eat animals, those are low vibrating energies. So the best way for you to raise your vibration, aka your frequency, is to choose to not do those things, especially because a lot of the things that you choose to do, like substance, alcohol, cigarettes, anything like that, the reason why you go to it is because you want to escape your reality. So the best thing to do is to create a reality that you don't want to escape from. And that will be the highest vibe. There is no good. There is no bad. That's part of the 3D illusion. There's only high vibration, aka high frequency, or low vibration, low frequency. So what it is energy vibrating creates a frequency. Energy vibrates and it creates a frequency. So whenever I say frequency, it is your energetic body vibrating at a frequency. I hope that helps. I really, really hope that helps. Do you think the ego sometimes enjoys a low frequency? The ego. The ego is a bodyguard. The ego is our bodyguard, our bouncer, say if you will. And the reason why the ego was created, for most of us, is through our childhood trauma. It was as soon as we felt unheard, and we didn't like the way our heart felt because it was like getting our heart broken, then we created more of an ego because the ego protected us so that we wouldn't have to feel that pain because we didn't like the way that felt. So every time our heart portal has felt pain, the ego stepped further and further into the show, into this production, into this simulation. And so our ego, the only way that we can the only way we can soothe our ego, because we're not trying to escape, we're not trying to kill the ego, we're trying to soothe her, we're trying to integrate her, we're trying to show her that we're not in harm anymore, that we don't need to protect, that we need to feel, that we're allowed to feel emotions. Because it was when we were a child and we were crying and we were expressing our emotions, and someone said to us, stop crying, dry it up, don't show your emotion, essentially, our ego stepped in. And the ego is our bodyguard. But whenever you come into a place of peace, love, and compassion, and you're healed or you're healing, you don't need a bodyguard anymore because you're safe. Because you've already felt because you're feeling your emotions. So you can soothe her. You can tell her that we're safe. And actually, that's a lot of the work I do in my inner child healing, which I highly recommend signing up for my newsletter. It's on my link tree, because this way I can email you about my offerings I'm doing a inner child masterclass. It's coming up. I haven't put it on my website yet, so the best thing to do is sign up for my newsletter. Ciao. That's what it says in the Bible. Heaven is within you. Yeah, thanks. So many people miss his message. We all have the abilities. And how I really stepped into my power is in about 2005. I went to a supernatural ministry conference. And in this conference, I realized, I was like, I have the abilities to do these things. There were people, literally, where they place their hand on your head and you fall back. And there was a guy who while he was talking, y'all experienced this. While he was talking on the stand, on stage, his oil would start pouring out of his palms. And anyone in the audience started getting gold glitter on them. I was watching this person speak, and his hands are dripping with oil. And then all of us, everyone in the audience, had gold glitter. It just started appearing on our skin. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. Well, then I ended up going to another conference. And it was a women's conference. And one of the women I saw, or the main woman, was at the conferences I used to go to, and I walked up to her and I was like, hi, I want to introduce myself. And I don't know why I did this. I don't know. I just felt like I needed to talk to her. And she said, you're coming with me. And I was like, well, where are we going? It was like a 3-day conference. She was like, I have to go speak at a church and I want you to go. And I was like, sweet. Like I get in her vehicle, her black vehicle with her people, and we go to this church, and it's a school. And she's a world-renowned prophet. Maybe you've heard of her. Name is Stacy Campbell. I don't know. World-renowned prophet. So we go on the way to the school. She said, I want you to speak. I mean, y'all, I had met this lady like 20 minutes before this. And I was like, what? And she was like, you just need to speak. You just need to prophesy. You need to talk from your heart. Tell them your story. And I was like, okay. So I go into this church, and there's about 75 people there that are in that are there for this school. And so she's like a guest speaker. Well, I get up on stage, and I just met this woman. I get up on stage, and I had some things written down, but as soon as I get up there, I start I start swaying, and I sway now too. I start swaying, and I just start prophesying over these people, and I'm like, there's someone here who, and I'm like, and this is what I see. I see this picture, and I see them on a swing, and I see a big hand, and this woman stands up. She's like, I have that picture. It's like the only picture I took with me. I just moved across the country. And so it's like it connected, right? I'm prophesying with her. And then I prophesied to this other woman, and I just do this throughout this entire group of people. Wild. So then whenever we leave, I'm like vibrating. I'm like so excited and in love with this. And she goes, I want to give you a scholarship to my prayer and prophetic school in Kelowna, Canada. And I was like, sure. She's like, it's like in 2 weeks. All you have to do is get there. I'll set you up with a host family, and it's a 2-week school. And I was like, let's do it. So I go and I stay at this host family, and I stay in the prophet's room. And y'all, I was doing all the things. I was doing healing. I was doing all the things that Jesus did, and I was doing it all based on a non-denominational but still religion-based. So I get it. I know about the Jesus stuff. I spent quite a while participating in this supernatural ministry with the false truth that it was all through the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, now I know that's me. I'm the Holy Spirit. That is me. And so this is the thing. It was acceptable then for people to, it was acceptable for me to be like, yeah, I prophesy over people, through the Holy Spirit. But me, if I can say, I can, read your Akashic records and talk about your past lives, or I can prophesy over you. Well, it's not received the same. And that's because of the religion. Because religion is a trap that the lower dimensional system has made you think is acceptable because it's been programmed into us for so long. It's not real. Anything that is acceptable in the 3-dimension reality, we should be doing the opposite. So all of you who are asking how to raise your frequency, if they say the sun is bad, the sun gives you cancer, don't love the sun, don't go out in the sun, you need to be in the sun, because that means something really great comes from the sun. And guess what? Something really great does come from the sun. It's called Christos light sources, and it is energy that actually sustains us. Without the sun, y'all, none of this would be here. And they get that. But the problem is they program you so much so that you don't think about it. You don't think for yourself. That says, well, the sun can't be bad, because if the sun was bad, then, why do we have vegetables that grow from the sun? I mean, just think about it. It's crazy. It's absolutely mad what the program has people thinking. Yes, hot ones are always crazy. Someone said, Australia doesn't want your idiotic ideas. That's funny. Someone said, did Jesus get plastic surgery? If you're talking about my boobs, these are very homegrown, but thank you for recognizing them. You're right. No, there is no past or future. So prophesying is not telling the past or telling the future. Prophesying is telling someone about themselves. Same thing as psychic. You're psychic if you can tell someone about themselves. I came to Costa Rica 9/11/19. uh, Can you give a brief rundown as to why Australia is going through such strict lockdowns? You must have just arrived, and I will post this live on my YouTube after this, and then you can hear all that information because I'm about to be finished. I came here to mainly share a high vibrational message for the people in Melbourne and the people in Australia because y'all are super duper duper powerful. Y'all have so much power. You people can change this world. And this is why this is happening for you. This is why, because what they're afraid of, if you're locked in, you won't go to other high frequency portals like this and wake up, because one of you awake is as powerful as 300 people. 300,000 people. Remember that. You're super powerful. But the more you feed and match the energy of the lower frequency, the more you match the energy of the third dimensional matrix, you're giving away your power to them. Don't give your power away. Keep your power. Hold on to your power. Own your power. I believe in you, Australia. Okay, I think this is it. Where can you find me for coaching? I have mamaishel.com. Just go to my page. That was tough. Go to my page, and everything is in my link tree that you need. The ringing in my left ear is getting louder the more you talk. That's called a download. Let me tell you something. DNA activation occurs when you hear something that is truth. That's why you get chill bumps. I call those truth bumps. The more you get truth bumps, that means your DNA is activated, because when your DNA is activated, you get chills, you get colder. And ringing in your ear means you're opening those portals for information. Hi to New Zealand. Hola, hola, hola. Okay, so if you are not following my Instagram, I highly recommend it, because we can communicate a little bit easier on there. And also I share a lot of the information with a different tactic, if you will. But I do share a lot of information just a little differently than I do on TikTok. Follow my YouTube, because that's where I'll post all of these lives. And sign up for my newsletter so you guys can be a part of my Zoom classes and whatnot. I come on intuitively whenever it feels right, but yeah, I'll typically say when I'm going live, you're right, everybody has the same truth that gets us back to the same destination. All right. Buenos tardes.